You're listening to Everybody Pulls the Tarp, the go-to podcast for high performers. I'm Andrew Moses. Each week, you'll hear my thought-provoking conversations with Olympians, pro athletes, CEOs, elite coaches, best-selling authors, and other high performers to uncover their secrets to success. Get ready to be inspired each week when we talk about leadership, teamwork, work ethic, and more. Are you ready? Let's go. This week, my guest is Cayce Lynch. Cayce is the administrative partner at Tyson & Mendez, a national civil litigation law firm. The firm defends entities and individuals when they've been sued and specializes in avoiding nuclear verdicts. In 2011, Cayce received her law degree from University of Hawaii and then clerked at the Hawaii Supreme Court. Shortly thereafter, Cayce was sitting at a coffee shop in San Diego when she saw a sign for the Tyson & Mendez law firm. Cayce lobbed a cold email to Tyson & Mendez co-founder Bob Tyson, and Tyson replied and offered Cayce an informational interview, an interview format typically focused on sharing insights on the industry as opposed to discussing a specific job opportunity. But Cayce aced the conversation and was offered an entry-level position at the firm. Since then, she's worked her way up the ladder and was promoted to partner in 2017. Today, Cayce serves as the firm's administrative partner and is responsible for driving the development and execution of the firm's administrative functions. She has led the firm through a period of unprecedented growth and innovation and has helped lead the firm to more than double in size since she was promoted to partner. In 2017, Cayce won San Diego Business Journal's Business Women of the Year Award and was named a top 40 under 40 in 2018 and 2019 by two prominent San Diego business publications. Cayce and I recently sat down to explore her career and success secrets. And in our conversation, you'll hear actionable lessons on creating your own opportunities, tailoring your communication for specific audiences, leading with authenticity, and so much more. Most importantly, my conversation with Cayce is a powerful reminder that something so small as one email literally has the power to change your life. This episode will get you ready to take bold action, inspire you to write that email you've been afraid to send, and help you power your personal and professional journey to new heights. So, let's pull the tarp and get straight to Cayce Lynch. Cayce, it's an honor to sit down with you. Where I want to begin, so let me start here. I thought long and hard about going to law school at one point, and if I had known I could go to Hawaii for law school, it might have changed everything. How did you end up in Hawaii for law school? I want to start there.
A divine intervention, I think. So I finished my undergrad at University of Colorado at Boulder, and I met a community of fellow students there who all grew up in Hawaii, went to Punahou High School, which was the high school that Barack Obama went to, and they were just the nicest, most connected community of people. And so the law school application process is an online portal, and you can literally just check some boxes like, yes, I want to apply here, here, and here. I remember that the essay was really short for University of Hawaii. I had never even been to Hawaii before. And I'm like, why not? I'll write a 200-word essay for this. And I did. And by some miracle, they let me in. So, of course, I get the acceptance letter, and my mother and I said, well, now we've got to at least go visit. And I mean, who could go visit Hawaii and not want to go to law school there? So it all worked out just wonderfully. But again, just by chance.
I was going to say, there's no question that you're a good leader. You're a great consensus builder. To convince a parent to let you go to Hawaii for law school is really impressive. So now I'm curious. Okay, I didn't go to law school. Is law school
You're
as hard?
Smart man, Andrew.
I'm smart. Okay, maybe. So I got to find out, Cayce. Is law school as hard as they make it out to be?
I think yes. And the bar exam is as hard as they make it out to be. One of the things that was so wonderful for me about Hawaii, though, is that they truly embrace the sense of ohana and community and family, and that competitive element, the horror stories you hear about fellow students ripping pages out of the encyclopedia or the book in the legal library so the other students can't find the right answer. Like that would never happen in Hawaii. So It was, of course, rigorous, but I was so well supported, and I'm just eternally grateful for my time there.
I've been thinking a lot about the people in Hawaii, the good people of Hawaii, obviously with everything that's going on. My wife and I celebrated our honeymoon in Hawaii, and Hawaii will always have a special place in our hearts. And I just being there a brief period of time, you felt that community, that family, the way they collaborate. It's really special.
Absolutely. One of my favorite things about it. And I'm just honored to have been a part of the state for a short period of time, and for the state to be part of my story that I'll carry with me always.
Cayce, I'm curious, when you talk about that experience at law school, was there something that you didn't anticipate, that aside from the community and the family and that aspect of being in Hawaii, was there something that you didn't anticipate that once you caught on to, or once you figured out, really helped you succeed or accelerate your success in law school?
Two things come to mind. One is the way that you analyze a legal problem. Law school is a lot about teaching you how to think about legal problems, because the law changes constantly, right? And so you're not always going to have the right answer, but you got to think about the problem in the right way and learn how to go find the right answer, regardless of the changes that come up. So that was number one, really connecting with that. And the way I connected with it was by connecting with a professor who took the time. Of course, I showed the interest and did my diligence, but he saw that I was interested in it and took the time to really hold my hand, walk me through some of the concepts that I was struggling with. And the second thing is that same professor taught me how to write, taught me how to do really powerful legal writing, but also just writing for a variety of audiences, and how you have to always keep your audience in mind, whether it's an internal email you're writing or something bigger for the courts. Connecting with those two things really let me know, like, hey, I think I can do this.
How do you do that? How do you think about writing for a particular audience and then making sure you deliver on that? Because in your role at Tyson and Mendez, and we're going to get to it, I'm sure you send a lot of emails and write a lot of communications where you have to be clear, direct, and get people onto the bus. How do you think about writing for a particular audience?
I put myself in the audience's shoes as best I can. And I'm like, okay, let's say I'm about to receive the email, and then anticipating, like, what questions, what concerns are they going to have when they read what I'm writing? And how can I possibly craft my message, change some things, or add some information in to proactively answer their questions or address their concerns? I think it reduces some back and forth down the road. I think it reduces a lot of anxiety down the road if you can do that. And I am constantly learning how to do it better, but that really is always my goal. Before you push send, like, just take a second and think about, what is the receiver of my message going to think and feel when they get it? And how can I proactively make that a better experience?
You put yourself in the shoes of like the different types of people that if you're communicating to a group of people, there might be peers, there might be supervisors and leaders that you report to, or there might be clients in your case. Like how do you frame that up? Do you just kind of go through this brief exercise of looking at each of their perspectives?
Yes, exactly. And I try to boil down into it. So, for example, we're about to roll out a new policy, and I needed to send an email to the equity partners, and we have 10 right now. And so I thought through literally every single person. It didn't take very long, but every single person, and it's like, who is going to be impacted in what ways by this new policy, and what could I explain on the front end that's going to reduce some anxiety or reduce some backlash over this new policy. For a client, it's really knowing your client. You got to know where their pressure points are, what's really important to them, and make sure, like, hey, I'm sending this to client X. Am I addressing their top concerns, or where I know they're going to come back and ask some follow-up questions out the gate?
Cayce, I want to go back a couple steps. You talked about this concept of law school teaching you to think and analyze problems. I'm curious if there's one thing in particular that you've taken from that concept and that idea of learning how to think and learning how to analyze legal problems that you can apply to really any problem, whether it be professional or personal.
Oh, absolutely. My gosh. So I am a recovering perfectionist. I love when things are black and white. And the thing about the law is that things are rarely black and white. There's so many shades of gray. I mean, if things were black and white and there was a perfect legal answer, we wouldn't need judges, right, to tell us what the right answer is one way or the other. So being able to look through the different shades of gray to find what's going to work best for our client, the way to craft that argument to be persuasive to a neutral has been a huge value to me. But also, in my personal life, in my marriage, as a parent, I'm becoming more flexible as I get older. Let's say that. So it's definitely, law school played a huge role in helping me mature in that way.
What's interesting, Cayce, you said that word perfectionist, and specifically a recovering perfectionist. I'm thinking back to a conversation I had with Olympic gold medalist Tara Lipinski. And Tara told me that at some point you have to learn, and she was a self-proclaimed perfectionist in a sport that basically demands perfection. And she said at some point you just have to acknowledge that you got to skate away from those boards and wing it, because you're never going to have it perfect. And you have to kind of lean on your preparation and lean on everything that you've learned along the way and get comfortable with not being a perfectionist or not getting it perfect, because you're never going to. So you've got to be feeling some of what Tara is feeling there.
100%. I feel so seen right now. Thank you, Andrew. I've done a lot of reading and learning. I've learned a lot from Brene Brown on the topic of perfectionism. Elizabeth Gilbert in her book, Big Magic, talks a lot. There's a little section on perfectionism. And I think there's a quote that says, like, don't let perfectionism get in the way of good. And so I had a business coach over the years who has passed away, but Dr. Mort Shavitz really helped refocus me from the standard of perfectionism to a standard of excellence. And adjust to what you said. Sometimes you got to push off the boards and just wing it. Give it your best, and your best is good enough. And because that's excellence, and that's what I should be striving for.
You've achieved a ton of excellence in your career. And so I want to fast forward from law school to breaking into a law firm. How do you go from law school, passing the bar, breaking into a law firm? Yeah, because a lot of people out there are listening thinking, how do I get my career started? Or how do I change where I am now to somewhere that I want to be? I'm curious, how did you go from law school to the career?
Oh, it was, God bless the broken road, let me tell you. But I'm so grateful for it. So I came out of law school. I clerked for a Supreme Court justice in the state of Hawaii, and he came up upon retirement. So I got just less than a year with him. I had passed the bar in Colorado, where my family is from, but I wasn't quite ready to leave Hawaii yet. And so I decided, where could I go? And it's like, well, San Diego sounds great. Again, had never really been there before, but it sounded like a place with some nice beach, but a little closer to my family. So I moved there. I studied and took the bar within 30 days, miraculously managed to pass it. And as I'm waiting for all of the paperwork and everything to come in to give me my California license, I'm living in this studio apartment downtown San Diego. I'm trying to get out. So I'm going to different coffee shops across the city, applying for jobs. I can remember, going for these big law firm jobs and just trying to craft the perfect cover letter that someone would please just call me back. And it just wasn't happening. But one day I went to a little coffee shop in Bird Rock Coffee Roasters, which is right down the street from Tyson and Mendez. And so I see their sign and I'm like, oh, this is a law firm. I look it up, and they had a recent California Supreme Court win, big win for the state and for the firm. And I just emailed Bob Tyson out of the blue and attached my resume. And I remember it was something along the lines, compared to my perfect cover letters I was going for, this one was something along the lines of, hey, dude, I'm looking for a job. He was so gracious. And he said, I'm not hiring at the moment. We're not hiring at the moment, but I will give you an informational interview. And for a split second, I remember thinking, oh man, an informational interview. I'm like, you know what? It's something. Let's take it. Take the opportunity, right? So I made it to the interview. We had a great conversation. He tells me again, are not really hiring, but he'll pitch me some paralegal work at $20 an hour. And that I could really prove myself. If I showed up every day, I worked the files, I collaborated with their attorneys, and I did a good job, that would prove to him that I really wanted a job and that maybe one would open up down the road. So that's exactly what I did. And 3-4 months down the road, all my paperwork came in, I was sworn in, and they gave me a full-time attorney job. So we don't quite have a mailroom at Tyson and Mendez, but I do feel like I have a started in the mailroom type story.
Cayce, it's an incredible story. I'm like smiling ear to ear over here, and I've got to ask a few follow-up questions. Okay, so you're sitting in this coffee shop. You see this sign for Tyson and Mendez law firm, where you still work today and are one of the top leaders. You email Bob Tyson. Let me just clarify. Do you know Bob Tyson at this point? Have you ever met Bob Tyson?
No. I Googled the firm and looked at their website and found his email address on the website.
So lesson number one is just Google the person's name and send the email.
Yes.
That's lesson number one. I love it. So often people, they want to get the message perfect. They're afraid to reach out. They say the person will never respond. And even if the person saw it, why would they want to waste their time with me? I find more often than not, send the message, make the phone call, because you just never know. There are so many people out there who are thinking basically all the reasons why you shouldn't. And then when you do, you kind of stand out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I was thinking, you mentioned I won an award from the San Diego Business Journal that was years and years ago. But there's a woman who was an outside recruiter, and she just followed up with me, introduced herself, again, found my name on a list and reached out and introduced herself. We took a meeting, and now 6-7 years later, she's our director of recruiting practices because she just sent the email and reached out and made a connection. Like, there's no downside in that besides taking the time to do it and, finding the courage to be personal in the email and push send. So I couldn't recommend it more.
Pushing send, the power of pushing send. Yes. The second piece in there, and there was so much in there that I just was making me smile. The second piece in there is that Bob Tyson offers you an informational interview, and you're kind of disappointed. Informational interview. That is code for I am not offering you a job. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to meet you and give you information, and you're going to have to put a lot of work in to kind of follow up and pursue this. I'm a huge believer in informational interviews, that there's really no bad conversation. I love the book by Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone, that meeting with someone is always better than not meeting with someone. So you take the meeting, you take the coffee, you have the conversation. So did you have to, so he says information interview, you go there and he talks about kind of working your way into a job. How did you kind of make sure that you had the determination to go do that? Did that just kind of kick in naturally and with your instincts? Or did you have to kind of motivate yourself and kind of look in the mirror and say, Cayce, you got to do this?
Oh man, I just needed a job. Let's just be honest. I was so excited to work as an attorney. I mean, you go through law school, I had passed 2 bar exams. Like, I just wanted to be a lawyer. I just wanted to litigate at this point. I was so hungry for it that when he cracked that door open just a little bit for me, I was ready to bust it down. And so I did. Yeah, that initial feeling of, oh my gosh, a job's not even on the table. I mean, it was kind of crushing there for a hot second. And I'm like, you know what? Do it anyway. Go for it anyway. He's going to talk to me. Let me take the meeting. So I saw it as an exciting, it was like finally someone said yes. So let me go take advantage of it.
When that door cracks open, you have to walk in. It doesn't matter what industry you are in, business, entertainment, sports. When the door cracks open, you got to walk in. It's such an important message. And I'm imagining, as you know, this show is called Everybody Pulls the Tarp, and we talk about all these little like nitty gritty things that people do at all points in their career to power success, both for themselves and for the team and broader organization. And I'm imagining that you did a lot of tarp pulling for Tyson and Mendez in those early days, but a lot of things that today make you a better leader, make you a better attorney. How have you thought about that? Like, are there things that you did in those early days that maybe you're not doing today, or you would do if somebody asked you, but you're bringing that into the fabric of how you operate?
Absolutely. I can think of 2 things. And one is that, I rely heavily on my team in the day-to-day. And at the same time, I really need to understand the issues personally. I need to understand our numbers personally. So I'm very often working myself in the spreadsheet or developing the presentation deck myself, making changes to it myself because I need to own it just like everyone else. And, the second thing is, just reflect, never forgetting the journey I took to get here. I'm a country music fan. There's a Tim McGraw song called Humble and Kind. And some of the lyrics are, when you get where you're going, don't forget to turn back around and help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. And it's so true to like remember that I need to stay accessible. I pride myself on trying to stay vulnerable and real and personable with people who are on the journey that I'm just a little further down the road on. So I try to, with our law clerks, with our newer associates, take those meetings with them, mentor them when it comes up. Because I've been there, I've done it. And I think it's encouraging that for them to see where your career could go if you stick with it.
So powerful and such great perspective. I mean, when you think about cracking the door open and people that crack the door open for you, it's incumbent upon anybody who achieves any measure of success to crack the door open for other people and give them a chance to walk in. And it's so powerful. Cayce, I know at Tyson and Mendez, you have a really unique role. Frankly, in the legal industry, you have a very unique role. Not many law firms have an administrative partner. Talk to me about like what an administrative partner is. And for the listeners, what is the role that you're playing? How is it different from kind of the average partner in the firm? And how have you gone about shaping this to be your own?
So in my role as administrative partner, I'm focused on the business aspect. I have very much more of an internal focus than external focus, although external still plays a huge role in marketing and business development, making sure our clients are happy. I think for those in the business world, my job is kind of similar to a COO. You know, I oversee administration, HR, marketing, our education department, our accounting finance department, our IT department, our legal operations. So I'm really trying to make the firm the absolute best that it can be for our own people so that our people can do the very best job that they can for our clients.
I am curious, because you have this really unique role in the firm, are there times when people doubt that you're going to have the answer to a particular problem? Or are there times that you feel, whether they're doubting you or not, that, hey, they may be doubting me, and you have this like imposter syndrome take over where you're saying to yourself, you know, I'm kind of in this unique, different role. These other people over here are kind of doing similar work to one another. How do I stay relevant? How do I make sure that my ideas matter? Do you go through that at all?
Oh my gosh, almost every week. Yes. And still, I mean, I've been in this role for over 5 years and I still feel it. You know, I think so. There's so many quotes. I don't mean to be too cheesy with you, but I think it was Margaret Thatcher that said, if my critics saw me walking over the Thames, they would say it's because I couldn't swim. And I feel that so deeply some days. Not only is this a unique role in the legal industry in our firm, but I'm also a woman and I'm also a millennial. And so I think there's this added element that comes in, particularly with my younger age, probably the most. You know, I haven't tried a ton of cases to verdict. I don't have that legal practice, you know, that comes from 15 years experience in the courtroom. I have a different legal experience that comes from practicing on the business side now these days. So really trying to, under the mindset of the man in the arena, right? And daring greatly, right? It's the people, it's not the critic who counts, right? It's not the critic who's not in it, rolling up their sleeves day to day, pushing through the hard stuff, trying to make the hard decisions that really counts. Like I have to stop and tell myself some days, and literally before some meetings, like I am not always the expert, but I bring value. I am pursuing that standard of excellence, and I belong in this meeting. And I'm so fortunate to work for a firm that has stood behind me year after year, who has allowed me to take those risks, right? Because big risks, big changes lead to big risks, which could lead to big failure. And even when we've made missteps, this firm, our owners have stood behind me and giving me the confidence to keep moving forward. And even if we don't get it 100% right the first time, we're just going to keep pushing through. It's been really, really fabulous.
It's so powerful, so awesome. It really resonates with me. I've been the youngest person in a lot of boardrooms and on a lot of Zoom calls over the course of my career. And a lot of doubt creeps in. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome when you have supportive companies and supportive mentors and people who believe in you around you. And I love the man in the arena quote and that entire passage. So I'm so appreciative that you shared it. So I'm curious. I want to dig into a couple more things here before we wrap up, Cayce. Decision making.
Ooh.
Do you spend more time in your heart, in your brain, or in your gut when you're making decisions for the firm?
Wow, that is such a good question. I think it always starts in my heart, goes to my head, and then because it's always shades of gray, at the end of the day, I gotta follow my gut. So I'm gonna say it's my gut at the end of the day.
Your gut.
Mm-hmm.
Cayce, I am curious to kind of continue that thought, whether it was a decision that you've made throughout your career or just something that kind of gnawed at you and made you really apprehensive. Is there something a decision that you worried about, or just an issue or concern that you worried about early on in your career that you just wish you didn't worry about it so much? Like you look back and you say, I wish you had just gotten over that faster.
Yes. So many things I've realized now. I think it's a factor of youth and inexperience, but just beating myself up over things and realizing, in another week and another month and another year, what's actually going to matter. So I've tried to focus more on that. And the second piece of that is really coming back to our values. Like when I have made a hard decision and you're never going to know if you got it right, I try to reassure myself on the values that led me to why I picked option A over option B. That helps me sleep much better at night these days. And frankly, it's led to some better outcomes down the road.
So powerful. If that door opens, walk through, follow your gut, and follow your values. I think those are really important lessons. Cayce, I could ask you questions all day. This has been a ton of fun. And I can't wait to kind of continue following your success. And we'll have to revisit your career at some point in the future and just see where this all continues to go. Cayce, no question in my mind, you are a tarp puller, forever a part of the Everybody Pulls the Tarp community. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me this week. All right, Cayce?
I'm honored, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining me this week. Be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcast app so you can catch all of our upcoming episodes. And if you are like me and want a world full of tarp pullers, then leave a review to help others find us. You can also follow me on Twitter at Andrew H. Moses. That's Andrew H. Moses. And be sure to sign up for my email newsletter at everybodypullsthetarp.com/newsletter. I'll share tips and insights to help you achieve maximum success and happiness. Today is a great day to pull the tarp. I am rooting for you. See you next time.